mon edus. Os nos I eerstor as drop bro. Yes, nog mag graag doen de week precies. Number of those dog be preventers next to Nell Dab City. Mef Masloroch niet werth nooit zie. Zie minus nog stress, maar dat is het daar in hem eerder.
Jongen. Nee, dat was zoeken.
Zo steht het niet meest, dit valt roosiden. Daarom straf is alle fleurstein. Straf het diepers niet op, dat is de eerste zin met je opgedaan. Nee, kost je zetten een snap in de lach diepit. Je hebt de nacht willen ja, roos very goed. Zes nog nooit geen geweest. Je hebt waar de sinds nacht ik niet mag van zuur.
What the power of psyche is of man, how important it is to know something about it, but we know nothing about it.
Sanskrit word for honey
You
is
see me
madhu,
do.
which is
Yeah,
etymologically identical with the Greek methu
and
and the Anglo-Saxon medu, mead. The gods Vishnu, Krishna, and Indra were called Madhava, the nectar-born ones, and their symbol is the bee. Another divinity connected with the bee is Kama, the Indian god of love. Like the Greek Eros, he carries a bow whose string is composed of a chain of bees, perhaps symbolizing that the arrow of the gods caused the pain, though they may be sweet.
Is net het vaccin bits macht die unger versuim bit va. Initiate sefin am lust the daily repust lust certain railway roll of see kits in the lust get work see the ridiculous so see. Rein Islam was in his life was there's no help they do best small in him. See me sehr was nicht sieht half nicht was wie liebt sie in him. See maybe that next best nicht. In Geld never not. No shoe this next drop it up. See hearts in the douche. Snow in his neck. You're off me it was very right there for the neck. See bit what me left it means it's ours that's really close to basically net really nicht was ist die best that was wirklich da noch ja sind wir was nehmen noch viel
oxalic acid, formic acid, emphasizes the spiritual activity invisibly at work behind the outwardly perceived substance. Imagination, inspiration, and intuition. 3 fundamental human psychological soul activities: dreaming and willing. Honey, honey, honey. Ilochngalem happy Ilochngalem right zisu hapsadne happy vehmetskimpi Napsmrach sadne if a person Ilochngalem metskimpi the flash awman ina hits the misra prepares decay in a person yapnrach if a person is thin and dry eat hours and it needs still person is harmed by Israel if a person eats the honey shell, it makes them melancholy and thus harms them. It makes them heavy and thus increases their melancholy. No.
Oh, dit karsten nog heel veel stuipne, heel veel zit nog schaapbroen rustig. Ziel deze chilo fibroel. Oh, wat? Ja, het is wel wat leuk. En weer wat bij heel veel gezet. Zie bit galley rush zo'n railway. Slow is die bit niet railway zie bit galley.
Life in the beehive exists established with an extraordinary wisdom behind it. However, cosmic influences have a tremendous effect upon the beehive. They know that the wonderful activity of the beehive pointed back to the conditions of bees' love life. The love life that these people associated in their minds with the planet Venus. At the moment when you eat honey, it creates the proper connection and relationship between air and fluid elements in the human being. By means of honey, the bee colony returns to humans the amount of effort the soul needs to expend in their bodies. Whoever looks at a beehive should actually say, making this detour by way of the beehive, the entire cosmos can find its way into human beings and help to make them sound in their mind and body. The significance of being placed into such a hexagonal house has a very different effect on its contents. The environment is the cause for everything the bee does externally. You could say that nature uses more care in creating the final shape of workers than it does with queens. Workers need 21 days. The drones, which are used up fastest by the beehive, these male bees are killed when they have fulfilled their purpose, need 23 to 24 days. It is definitely an earth animal, while the worker is a sun child, complete within itself. And what about the queen bee? Doesn't even finish entire sun cycle of 21 days. It lags behind and remains forever a sun child. The drones, they say, are the traitors. They have already split away from the group and have fallen to earth. The queen flies as high as possible towards the sun to which she belongs. Bees don't have a nuptial bed, they have instead a nuptial flight. All this demonstrates how the queen maintains a relationship with the sun. The bee actually owes to the poison it carries the fact that it lives in a continual twilight. The human being has a head, and the head works on the entire large body, which actually is the beehive. When in olden times people made candles from beeswax and lit them, they really saw in them a remarkable sacrament. When the fire melts this wax and it evaporates, then the wax takes on the same condition that it has in our bodies. Tasting for us is primarily a chemical sense. It is based completely upon chemical processes. But the bee has a sense that lies midway between smelling and tasting. Earth makes six-sided acid crystals, while the bee makes six-sided cells. Because all human beings need to have six-sided spaces within themselves. As it turns out, bee is a creature more directly influenced by the sun than other animals. It is a sun creature. Everything that is connected with the capability to lay eggs is under the influence of the sun, also in respect to the entire cosmos. When the fight occurs, the drones that want to take the earthly element and fuse it with the sun element have to battle it out in the air. Those that are weak remain behind. Only those that have a sufficient reserve of power and can fly as high as the queen are capable of bringing about fertilization. When the queen is fertilized, drones develop from the unfertilized eggs, or workers and queens from the fertilized ones. When the embryos have been fertilized, it means that heavenly element in the embryo has been touched by earthly element. Even then there are drones along with workers. The drones owe their existence to the fact that they have been exposed most of all to the earthly element, because fertilization hasn't occurred. A bee achieves a high degree of perfection in the work that it accomplishes. The most remarkable thing about bee is not that it produces honey, but that it can produce completely out of itself, out of its own body, these wonderfully constructed honeycomb cells. It has to carry into the beehive whatever it uses as a building material. It works in such a way that it doesn't use this material in the original form, but rather brings it into a beehive already completely transformed. The bee does this all by itself, and what it creates comes directly out of itself. If you look at a swarm of bees, it is to be sure visible, but it looks like a soul of a human being, a soul that is forced to leave its body. But the beehive is not a complete human being. Bees can't find their way into the spirit world. We have to take them to an empty beehive to bring about a rebirth or reincarnation of these bees. While they are flying about, they might attach themselves to a tree trunk or something similar, and then they press themselves together in order to disappear, because they want to gain entrance into the spirit world, and they once again become a proper colony when we help them by bringing them back into their own new beehive. Insects teach us nothing short of what might be considered the highest understanding we can derive from nature. A very different type of consciousness exists in bees. Within the activity of a beehive, you will experience something that doesn't exist anywhere else on this earth. For instance, you will not be able to find out what happens to the Sun or to Venus if you cannot apply this method of placing your consciousness into the life and activity of a bee community. The consciousness of a beehive, not the individual bee, is of a very high nature. Humankind will not attain the wisdom of such consciousness until the next major evolutionary stage, that of Venus, which will come when the evolution of the Earth stage has finished. Then human beings will possess the consciousness necessary to construct things with the material they create within themselves. By accepting the Venus consciousness, you can anticipate the one thing that humankind will experience at the Venus level of the existence: a complete fading of the sexual element. Work becomes the highest principle. To place your consciousness properly into the beehive, you need to be made suitable for such a task by using a driving force of your own spirit. The group soul of beehive is a very high-level being, higher than that of ants. It's of such a high development that you might almost say it is cosmically precocious. It has attained a level of evolutionary development that human beings will later reach in the Venus cycle, which follows the completion of present Earth cycle.